underway again. We've just left Lovina on the north coast of Bali. What a beautiful little town. It's not the Bali experience that I remember from 20 years ago down in Kuta, which I absolutely hated. Apparently Kuta's even worse now, it's just gone completely nuts. But Lovina was really relaxed, very chilled, very nice. It was the Bali I imagine you'd have in the 70s, you know. Anyway, so started the motor this morning and had some sort of mid to high revs, high idle running, just to keep batteries up while I pulled the anchor up. And she was surging a little bit. She surged up in revs about 3 times. It suggests to me there's still a fuel problem going on with the engine. So I'm hard whether just to drop that pick down again and chase a mechanic and do all that sort of stuff. But then I thought, no, I'll put it in gear and I'll put it under some workload and I'll get it out here. So I did that, and then I ran it sort of parallel to the coast there at very high revs in gear, and she was punching the boat along at, you know, near 8 knots, which is what I would expect out of the engine. She didn't have any problems at all doing that. So I thought, well, I head out to sea, and our anchorage is about 50 miles away, so it starts to play up. I've got maximum 25 miles to go either way, either back to where we to Lovina or forward to the next anchorage on Java. Anyway, we motored for about half an hour. Everything was fine, no problems at all, and I shut it down. We got some wind, put the sails up, and everything seems to be okay. It's one of those things, you know, like you never know whether you're just being hypersensitive. You know, you think, oh my god, the engine's going to quit and I'm going to end up out here with no wind. And so you start listening for things that aren't really there or that have been there all along, you know. So I just don't know. Anyway, everything seemed to work all right. We've still got our buddy boat. We've got Bruce on Astrid behind us. Not much he can do for us if the wind quits and we end up sort of drifting around out there. But at least he can go find an anchorage and, you know, guide us in at night time or something if we needed to under sail. But yeah, so we're having a nice little sail at the moment. We've got about 10 to 14 knots, sort of dying away and then coming back, and then dying away and coming back. We're close to the main, or close to the island of Bali, so I'd expect that. I can see some more wind coming at me shortly, so it looks like about 15 knots. So that'll get us moving along nicely, I think. So here's today's plan anyway. We've come out of Lovina here on the north coast of Bali, and we're headed towards the mainland of, well, the mainland of Indonesia, the island of Java. We're heading up to the northern tip up here. There's an anchorage around about there that we're going to go and have a shot at. Yeah, it's here. Anyway, we're going to head up there. But plan B, if the wind stays in when we get round about here somewhere, we're going to consider punching up another 20-25 miles, depending on how much ground we've made. It'd be nice to get another little packet under our belt. So we'll see, but this is our first anchorage, about 55 miles for today, or about 75 to come up to here, plus the extra, you know, 5 miles out of our way, so 80 miles. At the moment we're getting a really nice breeze and cracking along at a really good speed, so, you know, this one would be achievable, but I doubt the wind is going to stay like that for us the whole time. So let's just see how it pans out, but as long as we can get that first anchorage out of the way, that 55 miles, that'd be nice. Well, I think it's only a matter of time before that morning breeze drops out. It's been easing for the last hour. It's down to about 10 knots now, and we're on a very, very broad reach, almost a run. Still making 5 knots, so that's good, but I think it's only a limited time. I don't think we'll get much more than another hour out of this sailing. We'll end up with motoring, and then that'll be the acid test for the engine again. Anyway, we're 28 miles from, well, a bit more than that, maybe 35 miles from our anchorage, so if we had to motor, about 7 hours. If we can maintain sailing at 5 knots, 7 hours. So that wind, I can even feel it now, it's just dropping right out. Well, we're getting some wind now. Wind came in and it's getting about 15 knots on a reach on our port side. I've got about 18 miles to go to our anchorage, and yeah, having a great sail now. I ended up having to run the engine for an hour, but she performed flawlessly during that hour. I'm a bit sensitive listening to the revs now, but once the wind came in, we got the sails puffing us along again. I feel heaps better. I never worry when the boat's under sail because I know the sailboat, I know how to sail, and I trust the rig and the sails and all the lines and everything. I trust all that. But the engine is a mystery to me because I'm not a mechanic, and when I have to rely on it, I hate it. So yeah, it really stresses me out. Anyway, here we are having some good fun. We're at the very eastern tip of Java, which is the main Indonesian island, I guess, has the biggest population. I'm just passing a monstrous volcano. Well, I'm no geologist, but I'm pretty sure it used to be a volcano. It's got a massive caldera in the middle with half of it blown away. And I don't know when that thing went off, but boy, it must have made it. Hold on one sec. Sorry mate, say again.
What did you say you were seeing there? Some waypoints or something?
Yeah, just on my track to the waypoint, there's 3 fishing boats, and I can't quite work out what they're doing. I'm not sure if they've got nets out or lines out, or they look at. I haven't seen anything quite like this before, so I'm just going out wide to give them plenty of room.
Okay, now this anchorage we're going to, there's no alternative to keep moving with this wind if it holds?
Not without going another 30-35 miles or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so we should have jumped earlier and gone out, eh?
Yeah. But to be honest, I reckon we'll have this wind in the morning coming down this passage, and tomorrow, so I reckon we'll get a good 45 in tomorrow up to that next anchorage.
Yeah, that's right. We're on the right side of the landfall. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem. I think we'll make miles. We're going to lose the wind when we get to the north side of Java, no matter what we do. So, yeah, I'm not concerned. I'm happy to stop.
Okay, roger that.
So anyway, going back to the volcano, check that out. So you can see the side of it that's been blown out. Well, that's what it looks like to me anyway, as a non-geologist or a volcanologist. I don't know. Yeah, looks like it used to have a caldera on the top of it, and then half of it's blown away. And that must have been a massive bang when that went off. Cool. Anyway, got some fishing boats to pay attention to. I'll talk to you guys later. We're going to make an entrance into this little bay in here at the top end of Java. Sorry, not the top end of Java, at the eastern end of Java. I was hoping it'd be a sheltered anchorage, but we've got a wind coming in from the west-northwest at the moment, which is not ideal. And the charts are not accurate. There's actually another reef here. So we're going to have to look at satellite photography to come in. But apparently we come in here and anchor in about 7 meters. According to Zulu Waterways, someone's anchored in there about 7 meters. So I'm hoping for a nice, calm anchorage, but I don't know. You know, the thing about making YouTube videos for you guys is that when shit's going on, the last thing I have time for is to take video. And unfortunately that means that, you know, we're not as exciting as some of the other channels, I guess. But, well, I'll live with it. Safety of the boat comes first. So we tried to go into a little anchorage that Zulu Waterways showed that there had been a boat previously. And there were some very narrow reef passages to go in. And I mean really narrow. But I figured with Google Earth we'd be able to do it. But the Google Earth seemed to be out. And we didn't have sunlight, we had lots of rain. It was very difficult to see the reef. 2 boats, we tried to guide me in using the other boat to stand off because they could see. And the end result of that was that I ended up on top of the reef, you know, very close to touching the reef. Anyway, I got out of there and went to hell with that. And we've just picked basically a working town somewhere along the Java coast here. I'd have to look up the name for you. And you know, the sea maps again are out, so we've had to come in very, very carefully, very gently. but I've anchored in about 7 metres on a shelving bottom, so it was just gently coming up from 20 to 7, so I anchored at 10 and we're sitting back in 7. We're at a place called Sungai Kotek, which is near Lebo and Mimba on the island of Java. So that's where we currently are at the moment. We've still got a little bit of a westerly, but you know, we're managing. It's not too bad. Here it's, you know, just a little bit of, you know, a little bit of wavelets on the water, not much more than that. But I'm absolutely exhausted and shattered. It's been a big day worrying about the engine, which, by the way, performed flawlessly, so that's very good news. And then, of course, sailing. We had some cracking sailing. And then that, once we got in behind Java, it just quit, just stopped. Like, you could flick a switch and it just went off. So we ended up motoring the rest of the way, and now the winds come in from the west, we're getting lots of rain squalls and stuff. So we're not in the ideal anchorage for these conditions, but I suspect these westerlies are going to drop off as the evening comes along and swing around to the south like they have every other day. Who knows? But we're here, tired, exhausted, and ready for a little bit of a rest.